Hey guys, I'm heading out to a due diligence or building inspection in City Beach for a property that I helped some of my friends buy. And I thought, well, this gives me a great segue into talking about what I do at a due diligence or building inspection, just to make sure it's done thorough. Because if you don't know what you're doing, often you can ended up getting lumped with extra costs of repairs that you didn't know you needed to do, or just getting bullied by the agent and told everything will be right. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you are the guys that are paying for the repairs at the property. So I thought, well, I'll just cover off on exactly what I do so you can follow the same process as me to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. I thought I'd start off at the park rather than inside the property to explain why a due diligence or building inspection done right is important. Firstly, it gives you an idea of the maintenance that you might need to do on the property. Secondly, it covers off on the repairs that the seller might need to do as part of the contract. And finally, it gives you some strong points of negotiation if you plan to renegotiate the price at a later point in the offer stage. The next question is who's there? Basically, it's the building inspector, the pest inspector, the electrical inspector, you're there, and the agent's there. The way I pick a building pest electrical inspector is often I speak to 3 or 4 in the area, get some good reviews. I generally don't pick the agent inspector, it's a little bit more independent. And also it's how you manage the building pest and electricals inspector's responses to the agent. Commonly, I like to keep all the repairs and issues to myself rather than disclosing to the agent. It's common for the agent to say, how did it go? And then all the inspectors will say, yeah, good. And then if you have any issues, they'll say, well, the inspector said it was good. So it's better just to keep it all a bit separate. The next thing is what to actually bring. The first thing I bring is my phone or a camera, a video, because that's handy. Then I bring a tape measure. I also bring a notepad that I can take notes on, and a pen, and something that you can check any unused PowerPoints with, like a mobile phone charger or a little light, but just needs to be portable. I just wanted to mention about the building inspection. There's generally 2 types. There's a structural only inspection, which basically says is a house falling over or not, and then there's a full defects inspection. Often when you book an inspector, they'll suggest a full defects inspection. Personally, I think that that's important if you have a good working order clause where they can pick up all the issues. But if you've only got the standard agent's building inspection clause, it will really only cover you for structural issues. So there's no point getting the extra service because you won't be able to use it anyway. And for the pest inspection, it's pretty straightforward, just someone in the area that's got good reviews. And finally, the electrical inspection. Look, a lot of people don't do this, but I've found that most of the faults in terms of good working order is the electrical items, and they're the ones that can be quite costly. So it's good to get the building inspector to do the full defects, plus an electrical inspector, double check what they're doing, but also check the electrics in a little bit more detail. If the property has a pool, I'd also recommend a pool inspection. They'll go through the pumps and the filters and all of that, as well as the compliance, and that's important because councils come out and check it every so often. If it's got a bore, it's worthwhile getting a bore inspection done for the pumps as well as the water depth. And finally, if it's got solar panels, I would suggest you'd ask the electrical inspector if they do a solar panel capacity check. If they don't, then get out a specialist solar contractor to do that. I'm creating a little video on what I do. So what do you normally do at the inspections, Jason?
I go right over the building structure and look at all of the various components like roof cover, gutters, flashings, all the internal walls, external walls, right through the property, looking at all the major structural components.
In terms of booking the inspections, I like to do it all on the same day with all the inspectors. In terms of timing, generally I try and book it in 3 days after the offer is accepted, and I like the inspection clause to have at least 2 weeks because it takes, say, 3 days to book it in, 3 days to get the reports back. Then if there's any issues, I've got about a week there to rectify them or check what needs to be done. If there's no issues, then you'll have plenty of time. The other thing that's important is to check the wording of the building inspection clause. Sometimes you need a AS or Australian Standards building inspection or pest inspection done. If that's the case, check with the inspector to make sure that they do an Australian Standards building pest or electrical check. The other thing worth mentioning is the timing. Sometimes the building inspections need to be done prior to finance approval, and sometimes they can get done after finance approval. So just make sure that you're getting the inspections done in the right time period. And before you book the inspection, the most important thing is to subscribe to the channel. This way I will rock up to your inspection and help you out. No, I won't, but at least you've subscribed to my channel. The first thing I do is go around the perimeter of the house, have a look on the roof, I have a look under all of the eaves, I'm looking for water damage, and I'm also looking for like any undulation or unevenness in the tiles. Building inspector does this, but it's good to just have a second eye. Also on the boundaries, what I like to do is have a look at the fences. So we'll just check out the fences. And what I'm looking for is the height level difference between this property and the other property, and if there's any retaining walls, having a look at the retaining walls and see if they're leaning or changing or cracking, they're worthwhile looking at. We've got the camera on you, all this evidence. You're at the pub. What do you do normally at inspection?
Everything.
Everything?
Make sure it's all legal, it's not going to burn down.
Yeah, all the electrics?
All the electrics.
Well, you're going to be YouTube famous now.
Oh, thank you.
I'll have to get you to sign something.
You should have got me a minute ago in the roof.
Oh, that's better. First sweep through of everything is I go through the rooms and I just check what is in each of the rooms. So fans, AC ducts, lighting, any alarm sensors, window locks. And I'm just making a note of what rooms have what and what rooms don't have anything, because sometimes when you come back to remember it, you don't know, did that have fan or AC duct? So it's just worthwhile checking that out as the first walk through the house. After the bedrooms, worthwhile walking around and checking all the ceilings. So I just like to walk around the whole place, look for any dampness or staining in the ceilings, and also any dipping in the ceilings to suggest that they're falling. If the place has an alarm system, another little trick that I've learned is have a look at the alarms. They often have a red light, and when you come into the sensor, the light turns on. So it's worthwhile going around the whole place, making sure all the alarm sensors turn on red and that they actually work. The other thing worth noting is with couches that skirt onto walls or rugs that are on the ground, it's worthwhile checking behind them or underneath the rugs just to make sure they're not hiding any damage that you weren't aware of at the first inspection. While you're walking around the place, it's also worthwhile opening and shutting the doors and windows if they're wood framed, because sometimes wood framed doors and windows do swell and then they can't shut. What do you actually normally do at these inspections?
What do you mean? Pretty much checking all timbers at ground level?
Yep, for termites mainly?
Termites, yeah. Any wood rot, fungal rot.
Cool. In wet areas, it's good to go behind the wet areas, so behind the shower. So in this room, which is a bedroom here, and check the walls for any paint bubbling. The building inspectors will generally have a device that checks for moisture, but a worthwhile thing to do, maybe even at the first inspection, is check if there's any bubbling, because it would suggest that the tiles have become porous and they're effectively letting water through. It's also worthwhile checking where the NBN box is, any TV antennas, Foxtel connection, and also where they located their Wi-Fi, because obviously if they've been living in the house using Wi-Fi, they would know the best spot to get maximum coverage for the property. And the other thing, if you haven't done it already at the other inspection, at the start, is check your phone for reception throughout the whole place, in the bedrooms, in the bathrooms, in the living areas. It's worthwhile knowing where your phone does and doesn't work. In the kitchens, it's worthwhile putting the dishwasher on for a cycle, just making sure water comes out. The other thing to do is underneath the sinks, and this is in all wet areas, so laundries and bathrooms, just have a check under the counter to make sure that there's no staining of water, also any of the bubbling cabinets. And in terms of the cooker, the two things worth noting is if the sparker for a gas cooker is working, because they're often wear out over a period of time. Hey, what did you say it was called?
Igniter.
Well, I said a sparker.
Sparker. I'm a sparker.
I prefer a sparker over igniter.
It's a sparker then.
And the range hood lights and the range hood obviously working as well. With all taps, showers, it's worthwhile just checking under them to see if there's any moisture or dripping, to make sure that all the fittings are working okay. The other thing is with the toilet, it's worthwhile flushing. The trick with flushing is you come back 10 minutes later and make sure it's all filled and that there's no continued release of water. So I'm going to do that. If there's any heating or air conditioning, it's worthwhile running through the heating and cooling. If it's a split system, make sure you do both heating and cooling. Most of the time, the inspectors are going to check everything that I'm already doing, but it's good to have a second set of eyes over it. And also, if you have any questions at the inspection, you can ask them there and then, rather than waiting for the reports to come back and then having to give them a call if it's not in the reports. The second thing is, you're not going to pick up everything. The inspectors are not going to pick up everything, but it's about picking up 80 or 90% of the things. And ultimately, 10 or 20%, if you have to live with that, you have to live with that. You're already doing better than a lot of people that don't do this anyway. Now on to the pro tips and a little bit of extra things that you can do at inspection that will help you down the track. First thing is subscribing to this channel, because that way you'll get heaps of pro tips all about property. But the actual pro tips, first things first, is the kitchen. So I'm going to go to the kitchen now. I've been carrying this tape measure. This is one of the pro tips, is simply just take measurements of the fridge, because ultimately you want to know what fridge fits in there and if your fridge does. Other items is measure all the rooms. If you want to get any quotes for replacing carpet or flooring, but just take a basic measurement of all the rooms. It doesn't have to be super specific. And the final one is take a measurement of the roof Ceiling heights, you just basically measure up the wall, because if you want to get a painter quote, you need to know effectively how much height on all of the ceilings or how much height on all the walls, so they can work out what the quote is. Take a photo of all the rooms, one facing this way and then one facing back to capture 80% of the room. It's also worthwhile going for a full walkthrough of the house on a video. The way I like to video is take one take through the house along the floors, and this will take the bottom half of the house, and then do the exact same take but do it at the ceilings, and this will take the top half of the house. Easy way to track the whole place is just pick a wall like the left-hand side and effectively just follow the left-hand wall all the way around the entire house, and that will make sure that you capture each room. And that is pretty much it. There's not much else to be done, but if you're doing all these points correctly, you'll be able to make sure you get the right inspectors there, you do all the right checks, and have enough information that you can get all your quotes for your renovations done up front, if that's what you need to do. So until next initial due diligence inspection or building inspection, or my next video, best of luck and goodbye.